Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to announce that Smooth Sack Summer is officially upon us. When you're playing in the summer sun, make sure you're groomed from pubes to bum. Thanks to our friends at Manscaped, you can make this season your smoothest yet. The Performance Package 5.0 Ultra is the ultimate bundle to keep your boys downstairs cool while looking hot. Join the 10 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with our exclusive offer. Get 20% off and free shipping when you go to manscaped.com and use code THPN. The Manscaped Performance 5.0 Ultra has everything you need to prepare that summer bod. Inside this package, you'll find the star of the show, the Lawnmower 5.0. Their 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. So remember, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code THPN at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code THPN at manscaped.com. It's Smooth Sack Summer, boys. Get on board or get left behind.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my next guest was born in Peace River, Alberta, and starred for the Saskatoon Blades of the WHL for 3 seasons, and then moved on to a small stint in the American Hockey League, followed by an illustrious 15-year NHL career highlighted by 2 Stanley Cups via the Montreal Canadiens and Dallas Stars. He also played for the Flames and Rangers and was a pivotal member of the Florida Panthers on their Cup run in 1996, a Selke finalist in 1994, an All-Star in 1991. He still holds the record for fastest ever overtime goal in 1986 when he scored 9 seconds into the extra frame of the Stanley Cup final game versus the Calgary. These days, he wears many hats, including many fundraising events and charity fundraisers worldwide. He is a great guy, a fantastic forward, a cool captain, a proud player. He played well in the WHL. He could really play, so he made the A. Wouldn't you know, he was soon in the show. His game was fab, so he soon became a hab. He knows what's up, and he won 2 cups. He had a great career over 15 years. Folks, the News was a band led by a guy named Huey. Please welcome Brian Skrudland, otherwise known as Screwy. Screwy, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, TR. Wow, what an introduction. My good Lord. And you're showing off. You can actually read, for God's sake. You scholastic son of a...
That's it. When my NHL career fell to dust, I learned to read. There you go. I went back to school. Now I can make a rhyme.
You got one up on Jock.
Hey, by the way, Peace River, were you born there for 5 seconds, or did you grow up there?
5 years, as a matter of fact. Good old Grimshaw, which is just a suburb
Grimshaw, I know where that is.
Peace River country. I'll tell you what, you get up into that part of the world, you feel like you're all on your own. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous place in northern Alberta. Been back a couple of times through the oil and gas industry, through the agriculture industry that I did after my career playing. And wonderful people. A beautiful part of our country.
And I've been up there a lot. I played senior hockey 1 year out in Alberta, and I used to hotshot stuff out to it was a pipe fitting company, and I went up north a lot. And also, going way back to junior, I played junior in junior A, went into Grand Prairie a lot. A lot of Newfoundlanders up in that area, too. I've been up there quite a bit.
We need the workers, man. We need the workers. They always came to do the dirty jobs, let me tell you that.
You got it. Yeah, you'd know that, being in the oil industry out there, of course. Yeah, I keep forgetting that. Is that why you live in Calgary?
Well, it was the biggest thing when we were done, TR, is that Saskatoon 6-hour drive up the road. Mom and Dad were there, my wife's parents as well. So it made it kind of a spot. We had a place in northern Saskatchewan at the time. So it made a lot of sense. We loved the bigger city. I had an opportunity to join the Flames as soon as my career was done. So that sort of solidified that, and just love Calgary. Lana's got a couple of sisters here. Family's big to us. So we wanted an opportunity to bring our kids back home. Lana actually wanted to stay in Dallas, Texas. She loved it. So, but with a little convincing, I told her we're getting closer to Grimshaw. She said, no chancey, Mr. Wayland, to that one. However, we did get to Calgary.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how that all happened. I didn't realize because I know, I mean, you played in Calgary, but of all the places you played, it was the shortest stint. So I was curious, but this makes sense. Now, when you moved from Peace River when you were a kid, did you go to Saskatoon where did you go from there?
We went to the city that rhymes with fun, good old Regina. And then from Regina off to Winnipeg to Saskatoon at the age of 9. And that's when the whole hockey career started. I started skating TR when I was 9. So there is a reason why I skate the way I do.
Wow. I didn't know that.
A little bit of a late bloomer. Loved hockey.
Really late.
Loved hockey. So passionate about the game. Yet at the same time, the skates weren't on these feet until I was 9, 10 years of age. And then I never took them off.
So then how the Saskatoon Blades, I know when I came into the Western League, there was a draft, but that only started the year before me. How did you guys do it I guess it would have been the early 80s?
You bet. And I happened to, back then you could protect a good old hometown boy. So I was the hometown boy. I got a chance to stay home, live right in my parents' basement. And, Dad was so kind. Mom and Dad were so kind. We had the guys over all the time for pregame meals, for lunches, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, they were just fantastic hosts as far as I was concerned. And we had a really good couple of years, some really good hockey teams. When I first started, we were sort of in shambles and things changed in a hurry. We went from almost last in the Western Hockey League to first. So a couple of really good years. Expectations of draft were huge. And when that didn't happen, disappointment, of course. I went out to the Canadian Olympic team, had 3 tryouts, made the first 3 tryouts with them. Now they're heading over to Europe. I was one of the last cuts there. When they had one of the trials in Winnipeg, a scout by the name of Dell Wilson came to Winnipeg from the Montreal Canadiens, offered me a contract, however, said, this is just for your back pocket, Brian. We want you to make the Canadian Olympic team. And then hopefully when you're all done with them, you'll have some sort of a relationship with us, knowing that we were the early ones to get you your first contract. And so when it didn't work out, I called the Habs, and next thing you know, I was in Montreal for my first training camp. So it was great.
Wild. No, I didn't know that. I've known you a while, and I've never heard that story. So, Jen, just to put this in perspective, I'm looking like you had good numbers. Like, why didn't you? Did you think you were getting drafted? Or, I know you say late bloomer, but I'm looking at the numbers. 3 years. It's all solid seasons.
I was told the Boston Bruins, the Los Angeles Kings were, if I was available early in the second round, I was a goner. So when that first round went, the second round went, and here's a little another story for you. The day of the draft, I had Billy Waters as my representative. Bud Quinn in Saskatoon was sort of his alliance in from Toronto to Saskatoon. Anyway, nothing ever happened. I had a gentleman by the name of Dennis Ditloff in Saskatoon who called me a couple of days before the draft, told me he's flying in an NFL agent from Minneapolis to meet with me because I'm getting a contract one way or another. I just thought, oh, Dennis. And he was a big Blades fan. So next thing you know, I meet a fella by the name of Barney Harris. Well, that was the end of my relationship with Mr. Waters and Mr. Quinn. Barney and I had 17 years together after that. I went from being the small fish in a big pond to a big fish in a small pond. And I'll tell you what a difference it made for the next 17 years of my life. And we're still good buddies today. So
that's a great story. So then, look, I missed this part. I know you've referred to it here and there when we're at these events, but you go to Nova Scotia then. So the Nova Scotia Voyageurs, that's in Halifax, right?
It sure was. It was the last year of the Voyageurs.
The last year, and then you went over to
Sherbrooke. Many years of success. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so how was your experience? I mean, I don't just mean from the numbers. You start coming into your own as a pro. In fact, you had 22 goals there your second year. But like, how was that transition for you? Were your eyes on the prize right away when you went to your first camp and those camps? But that's a whole nother side story, those camps.
Well, you're a Maritimer, so you know exactly what I'm talking about here. I showed up, so I was one of the last to be released from the big team, got into Halifax. Quite a few of the older guys were a little miffed that I had stuck around as long as I did. Anyway, I got into Halifax. I realized after being there for 48 hours that if I don't get a place to live in Dartmouth versus Halifax, I think I'm going to be the world's best bartender. That seemed to be my future in downtown Halifax.
Oh, yeah. It's a dangerous place.
That was a fun town, man. Let me tell you. So we were a little crushed when the team, at the end of that first year, when the team moved to Sherbrooke, we were a little crushed as individuals because we loved Halifax and loved the Maritimes.
Would have been a great spot to play the minors.
It was fantastic. Here we are in Sherbrooke now, and it's funny, but winning is what it's all about. So we won the Calder Cup my second year in the American Hockey League, and then on to the NHL. So all forgotten. Sherbrooke was a great stop as well.
NHL. So you make the Habs 85-86. I mean, what a year that is for a lot of reasons. But you go to camp. Did you have a good idea you were going to make the team? And by the way, back then, were there as many fights? Like, I remember going to camp in the mid-90s, and it was just like there was a slew of, there was so many fights. It was just, it was chaos. And I imagine 10 years before me, it was probably worse, no?
Well, they brought in Mr. Montreal, Mr. Quebec, my rookie year. That was Norm Baron. And, of course, Johnny Kordick was trying to put his mark on things. Oh, yeah. Knuckles was still the king of the jungle. And so there were more than our share of one of the things the Habs really tried to put out there was that, you know what, wait until we play the opposition. We know you guys are here. You know what you're here for. But wait till we play the opposition. You don't have to kick the shit out of one another. And even though they did, nobody listened back then either. So if somebody gave you a little whack, well, for sure the gloves were off and away you were going. So, but we had a really tough group of guys. Back then
you had underrated tough.
Well, you had Brubaker as well, Jeff Brubaker and Dwight Schofield and guys like this that were in training camp, and they knew their roles. Yeah. So there was one story in particular. So I get sent down, and I knew that Dwight Schofield wasn't the biggest fan of mine. He was a defenseman. So we're doing a breakout drill. I go behind the net. I'm supposed to take the puck and then, drop it back to him as he's following me up the ice. Well, he tucks the puck in. I go behind the net. He tucks the puck in. Well, John Brophy was our coach as well, TR. So anyway, I go again. I go back around. I go again behind the net. He tucks the puck in again on me. I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? Brophy blows the whistle. What the hell is going on? Anyway, the Schofield comes and grabs me by the sweater and tightens it up so much I can't even breathe and says, you don't ever expect a fucking pass from me as long as you're here. Don't expect me to fucking ever pass it to you. And don't ever try to take the puck off my stick because I'll kill you.
Wow. Thank you.
Hang on a sec. He was on my team.
Yeah, your team. Holy shit. Did you guys iron things out after that?
Yeah, we did, because he got picked up in the waiver draft before the start of the season, both him and Brubaker. Or I might not be here to talk to you today, TR.
Shit, man, that's wild.
We just, I don't know, I rubbed them the wrong way and something happened there. But
your first year with the Habs, who are your line mates?
Mike McPhee was on my left side. Halfway through the season, it was Claude Lemieux. We did a lot. Back then there wasn't that 23-man roster. It was like we had 7 rookies on the team. There must have been 27, 28 guys around all the time. Yeah. So that idea of taking a night off, no chancey, that just didn't happen. Or else you were out of the lineup and one of those other eager beavers was in. So, and there was another thing. I mean, Lana and I got married after my second year in the American Hockey League. So we got to celebrate a Calder Cup that summer. We got married, and then we go on in our first year, we win the Stanley Cup. I said, hey, this is working out too good. And prior to that, to be honest with you, TR, I'd really won nothing. So a couple of big years back to back.
I'd say. Now, listen, I've always wondered. So I was a Habs fan always. That's my first, I guess I would have been 9 years old, So like I really started to pay attention. I remember like a lot of the playoffs, like it was yesterday, just and so much little other ways to spend your time. No social media, video games weren't as much of a thing. So, you could just sit and absorb a record or a TV show or a hockey game. So, right. A lot of us through the hockey cards and through the games, again, there wasn't even that much playback. Right. It wasn't like you really tuned into Hockey Night in Canada. But what I noticed, I'm a forward as I'm coming up. Did you guys conscientiously play deep. Like you got Carbonneau yourself, Walter, like guys like I guess Bobby Smith, but like you seem to have a lot of forwards that can really play two-way well. Like was that instilled from the top down, or was it just the kind of players that you guys were and you came together and you know what I mean? I remember saying the late 90s, Jersey came up with that, okay, this new defensive system, neutral zone trap. Did you guys were you thinking defense first?
Well, don't forget who that coach was as well, TR. Jacques Lemaire.
Yeah.
And where's Jacques Lemaire from? And was the head coach just prior to me taking off in Montreal. So he was made a huge impact on my career. He was around my first year in the NHL, and we spent a lot of time together after practice, face-offs, working on my shot, first three steps, all that sort of stuff. And Jock had the time for us. All of us young guys, they had trouble getting us off the ice. Today, I don't know if there's as much time on the ice for the guys to do because they're doing video, they're doing the off-ice activity. We'd stay out there all day back in the day, and now everything seems to be you got to get off the ice for media. You got to, there's one thing after another. So we were sort of, I think, the majority, you even look at my statistics, they were pretty darn good back in junior hockey. But when you get to that next level, you have to really see where you fit. And my responsibilities, of course, that third, fourth line were to be a shutdown guy. I was either the first or second pairing of the PK. So responsibilities you got given right away, which were great because then it really honed in what you were supposed to be doing. Naslin knew his job, Knuckles Nyland knew his job, and like you say, Carbo definitely knew his job. He was blocking shots before it was popular. And
I was going to ask that.
I always said,
and
well, I love Jacques Laperriere, our assistant coach, because his saying was always, "Don't beat a goaler." And I said, no problem. I'll be the flamingo anytime you want. I didn't want to get hit with McGinnis's shot. And there's Carbo laying down in front of it. Like,
I do specifically remember that. And Ludwig had the big, he had like guards on his skates. He used to, like they were way ahead of their time. I don't remember a lot of people doing it.
Look back in 86 and Luds is standing in front of Patrick. Luds's pads are wider than Patrick's.
Yeah, I bet. And speaking of that, Patrick Waugh comes in that year, so you guys are rookies together.
Yeah.
The run you go on in the playoffs, I don't really. Was it really unexpected? Like I'm trying to think. I know you guys won it, and in fine style. I mean, in the goal you scored, we'll get into in a minute, and the Montreal Calgary, what seemed to be a little bit of a rivalry in the mid to late 80s. It was as furious, as energetic as it had ever been. You guys went through. I believe. There was a few big close overtime games, but Waugh really stood on his head. Yeah. Did you see that coming? Did you guys go into the playoffs as a lower ranked team? I can't remember.
Yeah, we definitely weren't the favorites. You
weren't the favorites, were you? And Waugh was a rookie and went in and sorry.
Guys. Well, I hate to say it, and the guy hates me for it. One day he's going to smack me up the side of the head for it because I always say it. But if it wasn't for Steve Smith's goal, I mean, the Oilers were on a bit of a roll back then, and even the Flames shot themselves in the foot in that semifinal against St. Louis. They had a stronghold going into Game 5 that got extended. A couple of miracle goals between Kozlowski and Dougie Wickenheiser. And next thing you know, they're playing Game 6, and then next thing you know, they're playing Game 7. So we were done with the Rangers in 5. We were resting, and I think that attributed to a lot come the finals.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, and we only have a few minutes. But in other words, I could ask you 1,000 questions. I had to move on to some point, but I need to know about your goal. Now, this to me, and I don't want. I know your stats.
You want to just show it, TR? It'll save us a lot of time because it only took 9 seconds to score. It takes about a half hour to explain today. So.
Well, I just think it kind of defines you, but I don't mean you're defined by one moment. I mean, of your career, and it's, you know what I mean? I don't want to minimize your accomplishments to one moment.
Don't you worry,
that happened. And it happened.
Worry, buddy. Our line had 14 goals at the time. Lemieux had 9, McPhee had 5.
Really? Come on.
Do the math. I hadn't scored a goal yet in the playoffs.
That was your first fucking goal?
here we are. Well, first of all, what am I doing out on the fucking ice? I got to ask Jean Perron that time and time again. I've never gotten the answer. Anyway, he knew something nobody else knew in the world, obviously. So here we are starting, and it was like, okay, bang, bang, and it's done, and it's like, holy shit. Yeah.
Wow. And immediately, I mean, it's hard to really soak in that moment. But, as time passed, I mean, obviously you're really proud of it. But when you guys win the cup, okay, it's one thing to score that goal, right?
Yeah.
But now you win the cup. You're a Montreal Canadian. It's not like you just rolled in with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I guess they weren't around yet, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're on this team, and there's so much. Not only do you get that goal, your teammate right next to you, Patrick Waugh, is doing things that are historic. It must have been the parade. I really don't know. Montreal, how was that whole afterwards? The parade, the party with the boys, like, you don't have to get specific, but it must have been otherworldly, was it, for a kid like you in your first year in the NHL?
Well, I'm even going to go back to that 168-pound Patrick Waugh walking into our dressing room in Sherbrooke the year before when they were out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And this guy walks in, both of our goalies are hurt, and hey, guys, here's Patrick. He's going to be playing net for us. I'm thinking, holy if he gets hit with a puck, he's going to die. The kid's so skinny. And next thing you know, he got hit with every single puck that came his way, and he did it for 2 years in a row, and then continued on, of course, with that. But now the parade was that was pretty special. I mean, I broke my jaw in Game 5, so I had 3 fractures, and I knew I was done. So you'll appreciate this, but I'm standing in the scrum, and I thought, okay, well, I believe I'm done, but I better take somebody with me. So I knew Doug Risebrough was a guy with a pretty high, he was pretty eager. So when he came into the pile, my mouth was full of blood. I give him that one right down. And then it became a stick fight. So anyway, we both got 10 minutes, and I knew, I went in the dressing room, got my jaw packed, and doctor says, you're done. And I said, well, to be honest, I'm going to just be going out. I'll finish this game, and then we'll see where we're at. So my first shift back after serving my 10-minute misconduct, Lemieux puts it off the post. It comes right to me, just like my overtime goal, another 4x6. And so I had my second of the playoffs. So that was awesome. Then we end up on that plane ride home, get home, and you can't even get out of the airport. It was just mayhem, absolutely nuts. And I'm in a car, and we're right to the hospital, got my jaw done. And yeah, I've got 3 fractures on my left side.
Shit.
So they said, well, we won't wire you up. You're 22 years of age, probably going to have a little fun. And that's exactly what I did. But we're sitting in that parade now with 1 million people from downtown, from the city hall, going to the Forum. And the cars were moving at about minus 0.01 miles per hour to get us there. We're pulling over people's toes. You got people screaming right, left, and center. Yours truly, I can get out of my car, go into a local tavern, sit there, have a beer, relax, get out of the sun for a half hour. Then I thought, I'm on my way back to my car. I'll just walk to the front. So I was just one of the crowd, and there's Savard and Perron, and I'm down in the crowd waving at him. And Serge gives Perron a hit, and look at that idiot down there. I was just standing down in the crowd, giving them all a wave. Nobody had a clue who I was. So anyway, yeah, kind of fun.
How's your jaw, by the way, after that?
Well, it took a few weeks, but it healed awful fast. Yeah, no, it was pretty good. At 22 years of age, and I think we're a little more elasticized than we are at 61. I'll guarantee you that today.
Hey, was Eddie Palchek there? He must have been.
What? The old puck.
I got such a kick out of him.
I was Stanley Cup rings. He was my favorite. He was my favorite, TR. He had such bad gout in his elbow. We called it, when we'd go sit at the bar, we called it the latch. Put the latch in, and then he wouldn't slip while he was having his cocktail.
Oh, yeah. So one of the boys, when I went in Moncton, I've got written down here, I don't know what this is. For some reason, I wrote it down. Yeah. Do you have a story with Eddie in a shoe or something?
Oh my gosh. Well, we went to as you guys did, as well as we all did.
I think
The
Bernie told me to write this.
trainers never made enough money. I mean, as far as I was concerned, they should have been the highest paid on the team. They worked harder than anybody. I always had a soft spot for them. So we're in Minneapolis. I got a buddy that owns a steakhouse, and so I went in. We were in a couple of days early. Went to a shoe store, picked up a ladies size 8. Eddie loved filet mignon. So I lopped both the heels off of those size 8 shoes, which now look a little bit like a filet mignon butterflied. So anyway, we put those on his plate and put his béarnaise sauce on top. He's got his baked potato, his asparagus, and my buddy brings it out. Now Eddie's at the table. He's going to cut into his steak. And he goes, wow, this is the worst fucking steak I've ever had in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, he pushes a bottle of wine in the middle of the table, smashes a couple of things, gets up and says, I'm fucking out of here. It's the worst steak I've ever had in my life. Well, my buddy's coming around the corner with his real steak. Anyway, the old cock left the restaurant and went home, and that was it. Had no idea. The rest of the boys laughed their ass off.
That is incredible. I can just picture too. I was at a chair. I'm like, this guy's like a cartoon. Like I couldn't believe it. Big red nose.
Oh my God, he was one of a kind. I took him into Wanda's one night at the end of the year. He fell right into a stripper. My God, she felt like there wasn't a disease she wasn't going to have when that nose touched the cloth.
Oh yeah, I can picture him at the strip club. Oh God. Well, hey, why number 39?
One better than Mike Lawler. He chose 38. There were only so many numbers left.
Yeah,
Mike and I were good buddies. He chose first, so he picked 38. I said, well, I've always been one better. I'm going to 39. It was as simple as that.
It was simple as that. So then, I mean, you go to Calgary. I don't remember what happened there. I know it was towards the end of the year, right? You only played 16 games.
Yeah, well, actually, TR, they have a cartoonist in Calgary, one of the few professional cartoonists left in the world at that time. And he did in my small stint here in Calgary, he had a cartoon of me. The headline was Brian Skrudland on a line rush. Well, I twisted my ankle when I got here. I broke my thumb in like 5 spots. My ear got ripped open. Ojik and I got at it one night, and he ripped open my ear. So now they had body parts, all the body parts that I had hurt myself when I came in. That was Brian Skrudland on a line rush. Dave Elston had just body parts laying all over the ice. Anyway, when he retired, he came up to see me. I was in the oil and gas industry, gave me the original print. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's wild.
But I show up. I was traded on January 28th of 1993. So I watched those Habs win the cup on June 9th. Still doesn't bother me today. My beautiful baby girl was born on June 10th. So I always said they can have the cup. I've got my beautiful girl. But when I arrived to meet the team, now I had 86, the finals against Calgary, 89. They beat us, the Canadiens, and we gave them one back. Lots of little things said amongst the teammates on both sides, and now I'm part of that group. So I wasn't quite sure how I was going to be accepted. So I showed up in San Francisco, down the hall. Because San Jose was still playing out of the barn. And so all of a sudden I hear, "Screwy!" And it's Jim Poplinski coming from the other side of the hotel as I'm just checking into the hotel. Well, he comes over, and I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be like, but he comes over. He says, "Hey, Screwy, welcome aboard." He says, "By the way, my name's Jim, not Horsehead."
Oh, I bet you were chirping him. Do you chirp him, call him Horsehead out there a lot?
To say the least. Anyway, we are now teammates.
I can totally picture it too. He does have a big horse head. Oh, that's great.
Oh, we had a little fun. And then, of course, it was great. I really enjoyed it. I had, you'll appreciate this one too, TR, because Dave King was our head coach. And I was only there. I was probably 2-3 games into it at this point in time. We got off the bus, one stop, and boys are all deciding where we're going to go for a beer after the game. And Dave comes out and he says, "Hey, Screwy, got a second?" I said, "Yeah." And anyway, I didn't really move from being around the guys. He says, "I didn't realize you're as much of a hack as you are." And I said, "What?" He goes, says it again. I was going to say, what are you, a parrot? But anyway, I didn't. I said, I said, well, you know why? He goes, no. I said, well, I went to yours and I went to the King Seymour Hockey School back in Saskatoon when I was a kid.
You threw it right back in his face.
The boys like that one.
Yeah. I played with his son, Scotty. That's how.
Yeah.
I bet the boys love that.
The chase for the Stanley Cup continues, and the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is just as hot as it is on the ice. With same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more, don't miss out as the Stanley Cup playoffs wind down. You can bet the over-under for any game throughout the Stanley Cup final. Or maybe you think your favorite player from the Edmonton Oilers or the Florida Panthers is feeling lucky tonight, and you want to bet on them to be an anytime goal scorer. And there's tons more you can bet on with DraftKings Sportsbook. And if you're new to DraftKings, you gotta check this out. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.co/ice for eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved.
You go to Florida. So outside of, I know you guys went on a cup run. I'll get to that in a second. But just like the roots of it, weren't you the first captain down there? The team just, you're there during the expansion. How was it? Hockey starting and that.
Wow.
I just find, Miami's a total different ballgame. It must have been wild to go from the Montreal Canadiens.
Miami, it was TR. We were down in Miami. They're up in Sunrise now. So Miami was a riot, and you can only imagine all of a sudden all the people coming out of the woodwork. Hey, Brian, we went to high school together. You mind if me and the family come down for a week?
I bet. All of a sudden,
hang on here a second. Yeah, no, we really enjoyed it. Our kids were all young too, so. We didn't have to deal with that, get the winter pants on, and then they got to have a dump and you got to take it all off again. So my wife kind of liked throwing a diaper on the kids, and away they went for the day.
Man, it must have been a completely different, now we're used to it, but the hockey had just started in that part of the world at that point. So were you is it a lot of transplanted Canadians? I always wondered that. I've never really asked anybody. You're down, there's a lot of people that are either retired or down there visiting or I guess it takes a while, but was hockey brand new to most fans?
There's a little area just south of Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood. It is like a small province of Quebec. And so we had the Quebecers like crazy at the games. We had, lots of the East Coast, Boston Bruin, Philadelphia fans. It wasn't long though, TR, before all of a sudden we started seeing more and more and more Panther stuff. And then amazing what a Stanley Cup final will do for you. All of a sudden, now we're all red again. It was just unbelievable. The anonymity part of it was pretty cool in the sense that here we are. Nobody really has a clue who we are, even though I would say it was 3, if not 4 times a week. If we weren't playing, that I was out promoting, selling the game. I went to do a late night TV show one night, and the guy says to me, Brian, when you get off the I-95, and this was a rule for all of us playing down in the old Miami arena, but really stop signs, you stop, but you don't really stop. And red lights, you stop, but you don't really stop. So anyway, I get off the I-95 down to the next intersection, and here's Buddy underneath the bridge, waving. He's really got my attention, and all of a sudden, my passenger door is being cranked on. So it was like, I'm out of there. It's like, so that sort of shit was happening right, left, and center down there. It was at times it was a little scary. I felt bad sometimes for the girls coming down to the games, but they did their best to clean it up, and now they're up in Sunrise. I don't think we ever had an altercation or anything really happened. So it was safer than maybe we thought. Yet at the same time, with those types of things happening, she don't happen under the bridge in Saskatoon. Let me put it that way.
I mean, it's just different for a lot of reasons. Do you go back ever to watch the Panthers?
As a matter of fact, the new general manager, Bill Zito, has been so kind. He flew Lana and I out to represent the 90s group this past winter. It was minus 47 in Calgary. They called a week before that was forecasted and said, we'll bring you down for 3-4 days. I said, how about a week? And they did. They
Beauty.
took care of it. And I'll also be going to Game 3 tomorrow night, thanks to the Panthers in good old Edmonton, Alberta.
It'll be a good one. Yeah, that's wild. You go to a lot of games in Edmonton?
Well, I'm certainly not going to any games in Calgary these days, so you got to go north.
I guess so. Yeah, I didn't know if you were still like you. So you still go to some NHL games here and there. You're not. I mean, I know you do a lot of the charity stuff, but you go to games.
Yeah, I love it, TR. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, look, I gotta ask you a couple more questions, and we got a few minutes, I guess. And I don't want to skip over, and I already did, your All-Star appearance. How did you find out, and were you surprised?
I broke my ankle in the pregame skate in St. Louis 2 days prior to the All-Star game. That happened in the morning skate. I went back to my room knowing that something's wrong here. I didn't tell anybody. I iced the shit out of it.
Did you get a shot in the foot or something?
I was deflecting pucks. Yeah. And Eric Desjardins and we always worked on stuff after the morning skate, just nail a few pucks down. I got one, put it right into the ankle. It was like, are you kidding me? Anyway, it swelled up. I played that night. After the game, took my skate off and went right to the hospital and had 2 fractures. So, but I still went. I still attended, got the photo, and it was. I knew that wasn't going to happen again. It was a once in a lifetime thing. I was truly honored and surprised by it. Yet at the same time, I was going to do my best to fulfill that obligation. I'll tell you that.
Then, oh no, that's wild. I didn't know that story. I mean, I'd say too bad, but you got, I think I got a hockey card, a pro set of you in the jersey.
I always said, well, Knuckles Nyland and I got invited by Mike Milbury that year. And it was sort of funny, but Knuckles got hurt as well. So there are hockey gods out there.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to be there.
That's great. I forgot that. I shouldn't forget. Knuckles was like my favorite player for a while. Love the way he played. People forget, like, he had 20 goals a couple times, right? Like, he was a pretty good player. He was so tough and such a character that a lot of people don't realize that he could put the puck in the net. He's a pretty good forward,
Oh my
pretty
God.
Good. Who might say pretty good? Obviously, he's great, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. And a teammate unlike no other. That was the best part of it. He grabbed all us young guys our first year. I didn't mention that story to you, but there were 7 of us to start the season that made that team in 85, 86. He grabbed us all, took us into the video room, threatened us with our lives, told us we got to come in the next day with the best stories, and the boys love it. So if you're doing something naughty, or we want to hear every detail on it, and we're the first at the rink, you're the last to leave, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we knew where we stood with Knuckles right off the bat. There were no secrets.
Beautiful. You know what? I always assumed he'd be a great teammate. He was one of my favorites. I got to know him in his alumni stuff, but you're not really playing with the guy and going to battle and war with him. I'm like, you know what? I would have loved to do that. Like, you guys, there's something, and I know a lot of things had to go right, but man, there is something about that group, and there's something about Montreal. Don't you find even around the dressing room in Montreal, there's so many like Stanley Cup experience around, and it's almost like you take my breath away sometimes with.
Really does.
Yeah, guys like for you, it would have been, I guess, Lafleur before that, and I guess he was still playing, but
Terry, I could stay all day. My wife used to get mad at me because, well, what time is practice over today? But I would go upstairs and there's Mr. Belleville. There's Rocket. I mean, it was just incredible, right? And every day I got a chance to actually rub shoulders with those guys. I was blessed. I was a Habs fan growing up as well. So this was I can really truly say I lived in a dream in so many ways. And then that first year, I'm sure you've heard this story, TR, but you got that young fella Toe Blake kicked kicking around. And he happens to come in the dressing room. We beat Boston that first round. He comes in and, congratulations. And then it comes to me and he says, yeah, he shakes my hand. You haven't won anything yet. Well, same the second round, same the third round. Now we beat Calgary. It's my rookie year. He comes in, congratulations, comes to me and says, well, that's only one. I'm thinking, well, what do you mean that? I'm 1 for 1. That's not bad, isn't it?
That's only one?
If that isn't the true definition of what it takes to be a Hab, I tell people that.
Yeah,
those are the expectations. Hey, we don't take any years off, right?
Yeah.
And now they seem to be enjoying if you've got a good coach that makes things happy and you don't make the playoffs. Well, that's okay too.
Yeah, what a
it's like, wow, where did those expectations go? So
yeah, well, now speaking of playing for the Habs and ex-Habs, you go to Dallas and you won another cup, but there was a lot of ex-Habs on that team. Was that conscious? Did you sign there or were you traded?
Traded with Mike Keane, another Hab from New York.
With Keane?
With Keener. From New York to Dallas for Bob Airey and Todd Harvey. So that was great. And then, you've got Jarvis there, you've got Gainey there. And then as players, you've got Ludwig and Carbonneau. And it was just, it was a bit of a homecoming. And I played with Joe Nieuwendyk in Calgary. So I had a chance to rub shoulders with a few of those guys. It was great. And that was the only year that I ever played in 15 years in the NHL that I can say we're going to win the cup this year. And we did. We got that President's Trophy, the cup, the whole bit. We had one hell of a hockey team.
Wow. And did you retired shortly after? I think it was one more season.
Yeah, it was. It was the end of that next season.
So was there a feeling after that of accomplishment going, 2 cups, even though you were you, I'm not going to, the word mentally checked out. I don't want to say that, but were you, did you see the end coming? You'd gone 15 years.
Yeah.
You mentioned 10 injuries in 3 months in 1 year in Calgary. So they must have added up. You know what I mean? And so, did you see maybe, soon I'm going to retire after that? Did it start?
Well, I tore my manubrium from my sternum mid-season in that 98-99 season, and that was tough to make a return from. And then, I did. I mean, according to a lot of guys that I played with, they thought my career was over about 91, 92, but they said I was good in the room. So anyway, I guess that works. That works every now and then too.
Good in the room went a long way. I don't know if it goes as far now, but there's always something for it.
Not a chance.
And I love that you say that. You're being humble, but great player, great friend now, and love everything you're doing. You do a lot of charity work, right? I mean, I see you at a lot of these things. Is that the bulk of your time around the rink now? Is doing the charity fundraisers?
It is, and I'm just finding that we're making a difference, Terry. Every time that we join these crews, and the money is incredible. These people are so gifting, and let's keep doing it for help those out that are not as fortunate, I guess.
Yeah, just tell people back here, man, they can't believe it. We raised over $1 million in a weekend charity event in Moncton. That's wild.
Isn't it great?
It's fantastic. Listen, do you mind 5 more minutes? I have some rapid fire randoms, and this should be over in 5 to 10 minutes. Are you all right with that, Brian?
I am A-OK, my friend.
Here we go. Brian Skrudland, rapid fire randoms. You're on death row. What's your meal going to be?
Steak and baked potato.
Great answer, and spoken like a true Westerner. Superpower. You get to pick one. What are you going to be?
I'll probably be superpower. Let's go with the Roadrunner.
The Roadrunner.
No, let's go the opposite.
Speed.
The wily old coyote.
Okay. Wile E. Coyote. There's at least more comedy in that.
I think so.
Your favorite non-hockey athlete?
Oh boy, non-hockey athlete, man alive. Muhammad Ali.
Great answer.
I mean, I grew up an Ali fan, and my good Lord, I used to cry when he'd lose. It was like that. That's how passionate I was about him. And the more I knew nothing about that historical side of Ali, but the more I dig into it today, I couldn't be I think he was just one incredible human being, and going through the times that he did and being so brave. I thought that was unbelievable.
Yeah, me too. That's a great
Sorry,
answer.
I didn't turn that into much of a rapid question.
Nah, well,
The rapid answer, I mean.
You know what? You can imagine sometimes rapid fire randoms, I go on myself for too long. It's just the way it goes. Rapid fire is usually just could be a slow burn. You know what I mean? Favorite sport, non-hockey?
Oh, probably golf.
Name 3 pretty good movies.
Oh my gosh, what have we seen lately? Man alive. I loved Old School. Like, come on, you got to go with that. I mean, I'm going to be silly here, but Slapshot is the other one.
Oh,
and then I don't know. There's so many damn good movies out there today too. My wife says to me, I get on these planes all the time. I watch 3 on the way home. What'd you watch and get home? I don't know. Anyway,
Slapshot is great because like you got the Paul Newman effect too, right? And
well, I thought I lived in it. My rookie year, I thought John Brophy was Paul Newman. I had a couple other teammates that could have filled in those holes for Frenchie and the rest of the team.
Well, it was like looking back. I say to people, I'm like, I mean, I don't know. My dad played in the 70s. I came shortly after, but I'm looking at it going like, that's a fairly accurate representation of the minors. I'm like, there are some things that are silly, but for the most part, that's kind of what it was, right?
Well, we got home from a road trip one time in Halifax, played a Sunday afternoon game. We had 5 guys get hurt on the road trip. We got 4 or 5 guys coming in from St. Mary's University to fill the void for the weekend.
Really?
And who's on the other team in warm-up? Ogie Oglethorpe.
Really?
Well, sure as heck, Remy Gagne gave it to him first shift. My right winger. Come on, Ogie, let's go.
I've never talked to anybody that actually played against him.
Oh, well, there you go.
Wow, interesting. See, it doesn't have to be rapid fire, but it is random.
Steve Carlson was the captain of the Baltimore Skipjacks the following year when we beat them in Sherbrooke versus Baltimore.
And he's one of the
Hanson brothers.
Steve and Dave Carlson, I think.
Yeah.
I know a little bit of the history on it.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to Mars and back. You're on a ship. It's 3 months there, 3 months back, so you're going to be gone 6 months. You have to pick a teammate to go with you to be the chef, an ex-teammate. Who would it be?
Well, is this like yours and my trip in Labrador?
I suppose it is.
Well, I guess it's you. I guess you'd be the teammate then, because my good Lord, we couldn't have any more fun.
That was, I loved that. That's great. I can't wait to get back to Labrador. I hope it happens this winter.
Oh, that was
one of my best like trips anywhere. I know I say it to people. I'm like, it's one thing to go up and play hockey, and it's another. But we went. Remember, we went into Nain, and the food that they had for us, and the salmon. Yeah, unbelievable. It really was unbelievable.
And then we were almost snowed in for another week after.
Yeah,
we just got out just before all that came. So,
who'd be the DJ on the same trip?
Oh, the DJ, man alive. I was always a rock and roll guy, and guys are always playing some of this dancey shit. And I wasn't really too big of a fan, even though now I've got a couple of gals. My genre of music is certainly
you're Saskatoon. I'm thinking AC/DC first.
Well, you're pretty close, and the Stones are right there, of course.
Yeah, right there.
Mick my dog's name's Jagger, so I don't mean to. Boy, oh boy, DJ. Let's just leave it at I thought their music was soft.
Favorite pregame meal? What would you normally have?
Steak, a little pasta. My wife made the best pasta sauce in the world that didn't leave me with heartburn, but I always had to have a piece of meat. I loved steak. I know I don't think many of the guys eat it today. It's chicken, a little pasta or whatever they're doing, but loved my steak the day of a game. And my dad used to always bring the boys over T-Bones game day back in the WHL.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Now I'd have to take out a mortgage and be guaranteed to make it.
Steak and right. Steak and spaghetti. Place that you want to visit but you haven't?
Australia.
Me too. Would you go into space if given the opportunity?
Probably.
A little ride in the space, you know what I mean? Now
probably.
They're coming down.
We'd have to take a couple items with us, OTR.
Take a couple of items for sure. What would those items be?
That wasn't your question. Go to the next question.
What one rule you'd like to see changed in hockey?
That flipping the puck over the boards, I hate it. I think that, I mean, I like it, but I don't like it. I don't like the penalty side of it. You want to kill the play, you kill the play, but at the same time, I don't know what they're going to end up doing with that. But because the other side of it is all the boards are different too. Like the height of the boards, it seems like they're different. Maybe I'm wrong by what I'm saying.
I don't think you are wrong.
It seems like some rinks are different than others. So I guess everybody's got to be aware
when
of
it comes to that rule, I've said that. I'm like, if there's even 5 inches different in one place, I mean, I don't know. Doesn't it have to be consistent? It doesn't look consistent to me.
Right.
For me, they all have a different, and the turnbuckles in some places are different. I'm like, it's kind of, I don't know. I know.
How did we ever survive before they put those nets up? Was it that 90% of the league just couldn't shoot the puck, so we didn't have to worry about them coming off the crossbar all the time?
I don't know.
Today when you go to a rink, the net's up and there's still pucks coming over.
Yeah, I know, and I don't remember really anybody getting like a real. I mean, you'd think it must have happened, but I just don't remember it. Yeah. There was highlights. Do you ever like? I think they'd put it up because one person did get it, but I don't remember it being a consistent thing. And there was
I was coaching, and it was the young lady who passed away in Columbus.
Is that what happened?
It was a Derek Morris slap shot. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Very sad.
Into the One Piece era, probably.
Into the crowd, and that was it.
But it was probably like Derek Morris is my age, so he used a wood at first, but I bet you it was probably in the 2000s, was it? When this?
Yes. Oh yeah, guaranteed. Yeah, no. It was a graphite. Well, he might have had that wood blade. I'm not sure, but he could really hit a puck, right?
He really could.
But that thing took off, and
What's the best Christmas present you've ever gotten?
Oh boy, best Christmas. Every year it's not about what I got. It's about what I gave. So,
good answer.
Got a chance to really treat our parents, Len and I did, as time went on, and we had a little bit of cash, and so bought father-in-law a brand new car for Christmas, and bought mom and dad a boat. So I think that was pretty special for us to be able to do these things. I mean, for all that our parents do, I know everybody wishes they had that opportunity, but
buddy,
we did her. Yeah,
first thing I did when I signed, I bought him a brand new cherry red Jeep Cherokee right off the lot. I was like, these people, what they've done for me, these people, but my parents, but really just objectively, I'm like, all of this that I've accomplished never would have happened without them. You just mentioned your dad bringing people over for steaks, and I was the same kind of a house. It was really communal, and I felt at home. They always supported me.
When I'm talking to you about your dad, it sounds like we're talking about your brother. So same thing.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah. But I do find a lot of similar attitudes in Newfoundlanders and Westerners. Have you ever sky dove or bungee jumped?
Did the Vegas? No, I'm not much for that sort of stuff. I used to just even get sick going on the wheel.
Me too.
Like I just hated it. Anyway, did the went over the strip in Vegas when we were there a couple months back. Did the flyover.
Oh yeah. Yeah, wow, I
great. Had a buzz on a beaver couldn't chew, but man, I think that made it a little bit easier.
Be able to do it with a buzz. That's different. Yeah. What goes on a perfect pizza?
Oh my God. Well, the first time when I made it down east and I ordered a ham and pineapple, they said, pardon? And so I must have to go. I love pepperoni and pineapple.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
I think that all started in Ontario. I'm going to look after this, but I think the whole pineapple on pizza, I've heard that. Okay, only one question left. Your all-time team, no teammates. So let's say hypothetically, I pick a team, you pick a team. My team got really nothing to do with it. Just you pick 5 players and a goalie. Hypothetically, they're all in their prime. Can't pick any teammates. Who would you? You know what I? And they don't have to be centers. They can be three. Sorry, they don't have to be like right wing, left wing. You can pick 3 centers if you want. Any forwards.
Okay, I'm just gonna go with guys that I played with in the past. So I would say
I'm saying no teammates. You can't pick them.
No ex teammates.
No ex teammates.
Well, shit, I
removes
played
a
on
lot off
5
your
teams.
list.
I almost played with everybody. So we're just going out of the blue here today. Well,
Yeah.
good Lord. I'm gonna slide to the left side because I'll put McDavid in the middle.
Okay, there you are. Nice choice. And you're going to put yourself there, okay?
I'll slide over to the left side and I'll take Yari Curry on the right.
Oh, nice.
And on defense,
what a pick.
On defense, I would have to go with Paul Coffey on my back left side, and just love this guy. But Charlie Huddy would be the other one, to be honest with you. So I got 3 Oilers at that crew.
He's so underrated for the Oilers, because they were all stars, and I loved Charlie Huddy. I knew his stats. I'm not a defenseman. I just thought he was real good, right? And even like guys like Kevin Lowe and Coffey and oh God, and you go through all the forwards. I just thought he was way underrated. I really did.
Well, he was a huge part of all of those Stanley Cups, and went on to share his.
Smith, you're right, Steve Smith. He was a big dude too.
Oh, was he ever? You bet. Yeah. You bet. Yeah, Smitty. I was so happy, to be honest, for him when Gretz handed him the Stanley Cup the following year. I mean, that was pretty classy at the same time, and there's some great stories. I had a chance to play with Gretz. I don't know if I ever shared this one with you about the All-Star game.
No.
He got invited to the All-Star game back in 97. Yeah. So him and I were the last couple to leave the dressing room. So I told him to go get his sticks. I'll give him a hand out to the car with his bag. So I had a 25-pound weight underneath my stall. So he went around the corner. I opened up his bag, threw the 25-pound weight in. I had pre-signed 50 of my hockey cards. So I put those in his gloves, zipped up that bag, and here he comes around the corner. Anyway, I didn't expect this to leave the rink, right? So anyway, I grabbed the sticks. He says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I said I'd give you a hand out to the car. You grab the fucking bag. You probably haven't picked a bag up since you were 12. He goes, 14. I said, "Okay, good." He grabs it. Holy shit, this stuff's heavy today. we get out to the car. The next day, my phone rings. Screwy? Yeah. Hey, Gretz. He says, "I'm just at the rink. I just walked in." He says, "I got a 25-pound weight, 50 Brian Skrudland hockey cards in front of my stall." He says, "I called to let you know that everybody participating in this year's All-Star game going to get one of your cards."
That's beautiful. I forgot. Yeah. Yes, you were with the Rangers when he was there. One of his last years, that would have been.
Yeah. That was a great experience as well.
I'd say.
I mean, with all the pros and seeing how those guys in Montreal took care of themselves all those years and took care of people that, the autograph guys and all this. I mean, he was as classy as you come. You didn't go anywhere without him being recognized, of course. And he always had the time for people, as good as you hear.
That's phenomenal. It's great to hear. You've got because obviously I'm a big fan. I think most level-headed, logical hockey fans are. It's hard not to like Wayne Gretzky on or off the ice. You got a goalie. Last one.
Oh, well, hang on a second. You say I'm not allowed to pick a teammate? But there was nobody else to pick for years. This guy would still be playing if for 1 second he thought someone was going to break his record, and that's Patrick. Like, let's face it.
I always wondered
so much pride and so competitiveness. Like, he was still pretty healthy when he packed it in. But I think he, all those years Sawchuk held that record, and he kiboshed it, right? Yeah. And then, of course, Marty comes along, and then there's others, they're coming on their way as well. So, but Pat was great. I mean, the other one would, let's face it as well, back in those days, Billy Smith or Grant Fuhr might be my other two choices, but.
Great picks and good people. Okay, Brian Skrudland. Screwy, it's been awesome to have you here today. I really, really do appreciate it. And we went almost an hour. I said a half hour. I hope you can forgive me. I'll make it up to you. I'll get the first couple of beers at our next event.
I'll look forward to it, buddy. Always good to see you.
Great to see you. Have a great summer, and I'm sure we'll cross paths again soon. Love you, buddy. Thank you.
Gary. Cheers, man.
Cheers. Okay, there it is. Brian Skrudland, folks. Thanks, Brian. And I will. What? So Brian, I didn't mention it, but he signed a bunch of cards for me at the last event in Moncton. Okay, because I'm getting some messages coming through, and there's a few of you locals that would like a Brian Skrudland card signed. Okay, I have about 15 left. I forgot I had these. When we went to Labrador, we were just talking about that trip. Brian signed a bunch for me. So I will. Oh, sorry, one sec. Sorry about that. I was having some technical issues. I hope you guys can hear this. I hope it's not too loud. Anyway, where was I? Oh, the Brian Skrudland cards. Okay, so since I knew I had them, I didn't mention it before the interview or yesterday, but I had these cards. We went on a trip to Labrador, and Brian signed a bunch for me. So a lot of the feedback that I've been getting from this particular podcast came locally. So if you guys are out there, particularly, there's a Sharon and there's a Jeff and there's a Chris, okay? And I know you guys wanted a Brian Skrudland card, okay? So I have a bunch of them said they're my cards. I asked them to sign them a couple of years ago when we were in Labrador. So I have them here. I forgot about them, but doing this research on Brian, and when I knew he was going to come on, I looked for them anyway. Since he came on, I realized that they're in this folder that I have next to me. So I have 15, I think, cards, Skrudland, they're signed. So for the people that I mentioned, we have a hockey tournament, a ball hockey tournament this weekend. It's raising money for, I think it's the Keith Walsh Foundation. He's our good buddy that passed away a few years ago in a tragic boating accident. And he was our good friend and our teammate. And we are raising money for his family, and I think they have a foundation started, whatever it would be. It's the Keith Walsh annual charity ball hockey tournament. We're doing it at Felian Gardens here in St. John's, and I'll be there. I'm going to bring some Shoresy memorabilia too. Maybe I have maybe 20 or 30 of those promo, like, cutouts kind of thing, like almost bigger hockey cards. So I'm going to bring all of that. Skrudland's signed cards. I'm going to bring some of these. If you want to come and watch, I'm with the Masters Team Newfoundland. We're entered into the A Division, Open A Division, and we'll be playing 6:30 Friday night. Then there's 3 games Saturday. I won't be at those, at least not at the last 2, because I got to go to, I'm looking forward to going to Buren to my daughter's soccer weekend. She's got 2 games down there on the road, so I'm going to go down and watch those. But anyway, I will be there Friday and I'll be there Sunday. So if you guys want to come, no charge or anything. I got these to give out. They're for you guys, and I guess just meet me at the rink. I'll bring them. They'll be in my bag, and I'll be hanging out at the rink for the most part Friday night, probably for 3 or 4 hours. I'll be there like well before my game and well after. Anyway, and rest in peace, Keith Walsh. It still hurts me to think about his passing. He was a good friend. Thanks to Brian Skrudland. Thanks for listening. I will be back just a couple of days with more Tales with TR. If you're downtown St. John's, Newfoundland, or Labrador, you want to go for a beer, check out the Bull and Barrel. Check out Trinity Pub, TJ's Pub, Rob Roy Confusion, the Martini Bar, of course, Greensleeves. You want to have a bite to eat. Check out Merchant Tavern, Blue on Water, or Loose Tie. Also, Peter Wedgwood Cafe on Elizabeth Avenue in the East End, Wedgwood Cafe. They also do catering. If you want different perspective, some strength and balance for the body and mind, look no further than Rope Walk Lane, Ryan Power Conditioning. 2 locations of Mr. Lube here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. One's on Torbay Road, one's on Kemmett Road. Live, laugh, lube. Pitbull Pain Relief, the pain sticks that just don't quit. Go to pitbullpainrelief.com, see what all the fuss is about. And of course, True Hockey, take what's yours. Folks, thanks very much for listening to this Tales with TR 209B featuring Brian Skrudland. Thanks to Brian. Thanks to all you guys, and I'll be back just a couple of days with more stories and Tales with TR. Catch you on the rebound.